Hey everyone, welcome back to JavaScript tutorial. In this tutorial, we will briefly look at an array. We will understand how to declare an array and a different type of array literals. In previous lectures, we understand how to declare an array and use them. Now, in this tutorial, we will take them in brief and understand how to declare different type of array literals. So, let's get started. So you know that array is a simple collection of data which you can manipulate anytime. Array are ordered with numerical indices. Array in the JavaScript can be any type. It means in JavaScript array can be non-homogeneous. You can specify any type of data in the array element. Every array has a length property which tells you how many elements are in the array variable. Literals are constructed with square brackets, and the same square bracket are used to access element by index. Now let's take a look at a different type of array literals. So we will create a simple array here. So I will say constant arr1 is equal to, and now to create array we know that we need to specify square bracket. So I will just specify square bracket here, and in this bracket I will specify array element. So I will say 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So we have 5 elements in the array. Now to separate each element we are using a comma operator, right? Now let's take another literal which is non-homogeneous array. So we'll say constant array2 is equal to, and here in this array we specify different type of data. So we'll specify 1 in the double quote, comma 2 which is number, comma true which is boolean type, right? So this array is a non-homogeneous array which has different type of data. Now let's take one more literal. So I will say constant array3 is equal to, now this is array containing array, right? So I will just specify bracket here, and in this array we put two different arrays. So we'll first specify a bracket inside this bracket and say 1 in the double quote, comma 2 in the double quote. Just after that, when the first array complete, I will just specify comma here and specify my second array. So I will just specify bracket here and say 1, 2, 3. So now this array called array containing array, right? Just after that I will create one more array literal. So I will say constant array4 is equal to, now here we will just create a non-homogeneous array containing array, right? So I will just specify square bracket, and in the first index of the array I will specify object. So I will just specify curly braces here and specify two object properties like name, daily, comma number 37, and here I will specify comma to specify second element. Now I will just specify square bracket here and specify two objects inside this array. So I will just add curly braces and specify name, tutorials and subject array. Specify comma to separate each element and specify my second object here. So I will say name, tutorials and subject literals. After that I will just close this array using a square bracket, right, and end this statement with semicolon. This array known as non-homogeneous array containing array, right? Now let's take one more array literal. So I will say constant array5 is equal to, and now here I will just create array containing array and we put function in this array. So I will just specify square bracket here, and on the first index I will specify an object. So I will say channel daily tuition, comma videos 150, right? I will just specify comma here and create one more array inside this array. To create one more array, specify square bracket, and after that on the first index of this array I will declare a function. So I will say function, and in the body of that function I will return some message. So I will say containing function, and just after that I will create my second array element. So I will specify comma here and say 3, and just close this array with square brackets, right? Now you know that how to declare an array. The time is to understand how to access these array elements. So here, if you wanted to access this array element, you need to specify your array name with square bracket, just like this. So I will say console.log and specify array here. So I will say array1, and in the square bracket you need to specify your array index. But how will you know which array element has which index? As I said earlier, arrays start with the 0 index. It means array element 1 has 0 index. Array element 2 has 1 index. Array element 3 has 2 index, and array element 4 has 3 index value, and so on. It means 1 has 0 index value, 2 has 1 index value, 3 has 2 index value, and 4 has 3 index value, right? So if you wanted to access these array elements, you need to specify its index value. So if you wanted to access the first element, you need to specify 0 here, right? So I will just specify 0 and just say and save my document, right? So you will get 1 on the console. So if you wanted to print second array element, so I will just copy this one, paste it here and say 1 here to print second array element. To print third array element, I will just specify 2 here, right? And so on. You can print all of them, right? Using for loop, you can print all of them at a time, right? Now let's move on to the next array literal. Now access the non-homogeneous array element. So we'll say console.log and we'll specify the second array name. So I will say array2, and in the square bracket I will specify first index. So I will say 0 here. So this would return string 1. And if I just say console.log array2 and in the square bracket if I specify 2 here, then this would return boolean value true, right? So this index will return third element in the array. Now let's understand how to access the array containing array. So I will say console.log and specify my third array here and just access the first element. So I will say square bracket and in the square bracket I will specify 0 index. Now you know that we have 2 array inside this array. So we'll first specify 0 here to access my first array, and to access the first array element, I will create one more bracket here. I will just declare one more bracket here and specify my first index. So I will say 0. So when you execute this, this would return string 1. Now to access this second array, you just need to specify 1 here. So I just wanted to call the first index of my second array. So I will specify 0 here, right? So this will return 1. This array is also known as two-dimensional array. Now let's understand how to access two-dimensional non-homogeneous array. So I will just specify console.log and I will just say array4, and after that in the bracket I will first access my second array index using square bracket. So I will specify square bracket and say 1 to access my second array element, right? After that I just wanted to access these objects. Now to access this object, declare one more bracket and specify your object index. So I will say 0 here, right? Now you know that this statement return object. Now to print object property value, just specify dot operator with property name like this. I will just specify a dot here and say name. When you execute this, you will get a name property value on the console. Right? Let me show you how to access the function. So I will just say console.log and just specify array5, and in the square bracket I will just specify 1 here to access the second element of my array, and to access the function which is located in the first index I will just specify 0 here, right? So when you execute this, you will get a reference of the function. Now to call this function, just specify parenthesis just like this, right? So when you execute this, you will get containing function message on the console. That's it. I hope you understand this lecture. I have asked question in the comment. Answering that question will help you to understand this topic more quickly. That is all for now. We will see you in the next tutorial.